Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today I will be doing another video going over this garbage beyond bottom of the toilet book, Voices by the late fraud Beatrice Sparks. In my previous videos, the first one was just a general overview of the book before actually starting to read it, just skimming through it, and then I went through the 5 different chapters. She tells the pretend it's all fictional, by the way, although of course she pretended all her books were real. So there are 4 different characters, each with a different problem or so-called problem. I got to that more in those videos. And then chapter 5 was the so-called updates 5 years later, and now I will be starting to go over all of the general issues in the different chapters because, you know, as I said, it was so awful. I just wanted to put my main focus on the actual plot lines as they were, instead of going through every single thing wrong with the book like I've done with some of her other books I have done in videos. And this is based off of the blog post which I just published today, the 22nd of September 2025. A boatload of bad writing and inaccuracies, and there were so many I decided to do some more blog posts and videos because there's way more than just 20 general things wrong with this book. And so anyway, there are so many things wrong with Dr. Fraud's bottom of the toilet, absolute worst book, Voices. I had to focus on the plot lines and general content in my previous videos and posts. Now let's start ripping into all the awful writing, inaccuracies, and vile slanders against every single group included. It's really bad. I think I might even save the Hindu phobia and homophobia for their own separate videos. It is just, wow, it's awful, terrible. Everything is bad. Number 1. I call bollocks on Dr. Fraud's claim of interviewing over 1,000 teens in 67 cities on a round-trip cross-country trip. And the few critical reviewers of 1978 also expressed surprise and disbelief. Could she really have interviewed all these teens, lots of them runaways in all of these cities? What are the logistics? Who sent her on this? Are we supposed to believe someone sent her on this massive research trip, or that she undertook it out of the goodness of her own con woman heart? So many unanswered questions. She wasn't even claiming to be a psychologist with a clinical adolescent practice at the time. And of course I realized she made up everything in this book. I can believe maybe she did do the cross-country trip back and forth, and she went to a number of different cities along the way, road trips. But what was she expecting people to believe was the reason behind this trip, and talking to all these supposed teen runaways? And this is pre-internet, remember? Was she trawling through phone books? Did she know of these names and addresses from living in Utah? Just rock on up, hey, I'm an uncredentialed Mormon youth counselor and I'd like to talk with the troubled kids who come to your halfway house, and repeat this at all these different cities and towns she's passing through. She didn't think that one through. People, of course people were going to call BS and express surprise and confusion. What exactly were the details behind this? Number 2, did anyone believe the parents and guardians who signed releases for their teens, of course they're all fictional, to be interviewed and possibly have that material published if identifying info were changed, never actually saw the interview material? What again? Well, that would fit with her portrayal of all these parents as tuned out and uncaring. And that was also something the few critical reviewers of 78 were mentioning. Did she really get permission from all of these parents and guardians? And I mean, of course, I understand parents wanting to respect children's privacy, particularly when they're adolescents getting towards legal adulthood. But again, you're not, I mean, of course they're fictional, but you know what I mean. They're not curious at all. Okay, some shrink or youth social work or whatever is interviewing you for a book about troubled teens or problems with youth today. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? And I'm not in the least curious about the questions she's asking or the answers you're providing, and I'm not going to read it at all. And I'm totally cool with the entire world reading what you're saying in this interview. I mean, if I had a teenager, I mean, of course I would respect his or her privacy to a certain extent, but I would have questions okay, you have wanted to unalive yourself. That's very concerning. I think I should know about that. Oh, you were really with a cult, or you were being groomed by a teacher. You were doing all of these terrible things. You're running around having gangbangs at the drive-through, at the drive-in. What? There are certain things in here. If these were real teenagers, they're normal parents or guardians would kind of want to know about that, and she's just presenting it, oh, they didn't read anything in the interview, they just signed releases, they didn't question anything. Like, seriously, there are so many things wrong with everything about this book, and I haven't even gotten to the actual content yet. Number 3. Speaking of, it's shocking to see parents depicted as cardboard cutout caricatures who care less about their children's problems in a Sparks book. Like, seriously, in all her other books, they're wise paragons of perfection, righteousness, and wub who instantly set everything right as soon as the protagonist tearfully confides in them, particularly the mothers. The parents and voices laugh off, ignore, or fail to see a whole army of glaring red flags constantly paraded before their eyes to drive home the message that these kids got in trouble because their parents weren't involved in their lives and didn't see warning signs. The teachers in these stories also ignore their students. I mean, like, seriously, that is just shocking for her usual, like, style and theme. Number 4, it makes my eyes twitch how Dr. Fraud always capitalizes the words for parents and sometimes even grandparents, even when not being used as proper nouns. So, for example, the other kids in their capital D dads whispered, once I went home with Marty, whose capital M mother worked, and like in another sense is kind of like my capital G grandmother's eyes. Like, what? First graders know the difference between proper and common nouns. Did this book even have an editor? Like, what the F was she learning before she dropped out of school and high school? Is this like what passes for education in Utah, or at least in the area she lived in at the time she was like growing up? Like, what? Number 5, while some cults did grow out of the Jesus movement, most famously the Family International, this was in the late 60s and the 1970s, the so-called Jesus freaks, the vast majority of participants were not cultists. I found that out when I was doing a little bit of research before writing the blog post on the Mary chapter, because, you know, I put more research effort into this crank's books than she did herself. In fact, they left a lasting legacy on evangelical Protestantism, both on conservative and liberal churches, and Christian music. You know Dr. Fraud hated them because many came from the countercultural movement and combined aspects of the hippie lifestyle with their newfound religious beliefs. And that was like the issue with many people, not just Mrs. Sparks back in the day. Like, and you can see, and I mentioned in the chapter 5, catching up 2 years later when Mary's info dumping all this, as you know, Bob, stuff, a PSA about cults. Like, a lot of the, oh, not, I don't know, a lot, but at least some of the groups she names, they're not cults at all. A lot of parents and teachers and stuff back in the day, they thought, oh, I'm not familiar with Hinduism at all. And like hippies, like living in an intentional community and like having babies with a midwife instead of going to the hospital that's the farm with Ina Mae Gaskin and her husband Stephen, or they're just like living off the land. And I don't understand this. This is very confusing, and it like kind of challenges what I always thought was the mainstream norm. This must automatically be a cult just because it's so totally different from, you know, like waspy bourgeois suburbia. But like, seriously, she's just a complete like idiot. Like, oh, I don't understand it, I don't know anything about it, therefore it must be a cult and scary and dangerous and threatening the youth of today. Number 6, no one, and I do mean no one, joins a cult overnight. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say that. You don't go from a stranger on a bus saying, Jesus loves you, or whatever other message they're pitching, to agreeing to get on a van with her going God knows where that very same day. Like, you've skipped like 100 steps. Cult indoctrination takes months, sometimes years. It is a gradual process. Like, seriously, who doesn't know this? Number 7, likewise, new recruits aren't instantly hit with a 3-day lecture in which they're deprived of food, water, bathroom breaks, or movement, and they all have to sit like yogi style on the floor, resting their like arms and hands on some kind of like T-shaped wooden beam. I don't know if there was supposed to be some kind of like cross symbolism intended in that, but like in every time Mary starts to fall asleep or slide off of her wooden T, someone touches a point in her neck to instantly like wake her back up. Even after moving to a cult compound, members don't go from 0 to 60 that rapidly. Again, she did not do diddly squat any research on cults before writing this. She just Oh, popular scaremongering. Oh, basic surface understanding. Oh, I skimmed a story in Time magazine or Life magazine or something in the Deseret News, whatever, like that. But I didn't do any actual in-depth research because, like, who could be arsed to do that when I can just scare the kids straight? Number 8. The beliefs of Mary's cult are never explicitly stated. All we're told is that they live off the land, have a very austere lifestyle, vaguely believe the last days are coming, like what cult doesn't think that, and are really passionate about Jesus. Number 9. Deprogramming, while widely accepted practice, not just by Dr. Fraud, when this book was published, has since been debunked as pseudoscience, abusive, and ineffective. People leaving cults now are provided with exit counseling, not kidnapping, isolation, physical restraint, deprivation of food and water, violence, and threatened violence. We also now know the concept of brainwashing is BS, and that's like, of course, a whole detailed, involved explanation for a whole other video. Not going to get into that here. Number 10. Dr. Fraud actually had a strong setup for Mark's depression. You know, the whole, his mother having her own depression and mental problems, like bouncing back and forth between his father's house and his grandparents' house, and his mother going to a psych ward, and his parents getting, like, you know, divorced, and his mother remarried, and then his father leaving town to go like 1,000 miles away or so. Like, that was a pretty good setup, even though, of course, she couldn't write worth like diddly squat, but at least she had the setup. But she couldn't leave well enough alone, and stuffed in everything but the kitchen sink. Like, seriously, you don't need to gild the lily, or in her case, I guess, like, dreck up the toilet. As a result, his story comes off as wildly over the top, hyperbolic, and unbelievable. While most of these things have happened, it's astronomically unlikely they all happened to the same person and within such a short time frame. Like, seriously. Number 11. No normal teen prefers living in East Podunk to an exciting big city. He's like, oh, I'm going to miss living in a semi-rural area on the outskirts of, like, a larger city or whatever. Like if you have the choice, why would you want to live, like, in East Bum F? Number 12. The Mommykins worship shows up strong in Mark's story. She could not stay away from the magical Mommykins trope. He's upset his darling Mamakins won't be coming to New York City with them, despite his parents being divorced. Like, why would you expect the other parent to come with you when they're not married anymore? Because he wants to cuddle with her, who said no normal teen boy ever, or even normal teen girl, and wants her home all the time, baking cookies, reading stories, cleaning, and nagging. This is supposed to be like a 15-year-old boy. Like, what the F? That just showed what a big baby butt I was. Like, he's constantly calling himself a butt and a sissy throughout this chapter. That's the kind of thing that gets your ass kicked at school when the other kids find out about it. Hey, kids, check this. She always calls teens kids. Hey, kids, check this out. Poor baby Markykins. He has the sads. He's not a big boy like the rest of us. He doesn't think he can function without his mama cuddling him and making him cookies and reading him stories like a little baby. And she likes that she's cleaning the house, and he loves when she nags at him. Like, what a baby. Like, you're gonna get your ass kicked, kid. Number 13. On the roadside in Arizona, after trying to slit his wrists with a broken beer bottle and feeling his strength fading, Mark manages to write sappy, corny messages in the dirt with a stick. Love me. Please rub me. Somebody, anybody, rub me. Love one another. Like, what? None of this stuff makes any sense in any of the stories. Number 14. None of these characters talk like real teens. That's a shocker in her books. Especially not from the 70s. They all use goofy, outdated slang and babyish euphemisms. Dr. Fraud always failed at trying to replicate a believable adolescent voice. Like, she's constantly going on about the socias, and the sleazes, like distinctive teen social cast, like what? Or the dadgum donkey we had borrowed from someone just wouldn't go. Oh, I'm such a but, man, what a grocer. All these stupid slang terms. She's trying to sound down with the kids, but she just comes across as usual like a 60-year-old ultra-conservative, out-of-touch Mormon housewife who just never interacts with anyone real outside of the Morador. It's just like, you totally failed. Number 15. Why would the whole school start bullying Mark on the presumption he's gay, just because he offered to tutor sports hero Luke in exchange for athletic coaching. And I'll get to this more like a future video. It really does sound, and I mentioned this in the Mark video as well, like she's trying, I don't know if this was intentional or like unintentional, subconscious, whatever, because of her own like repressed potential feelings, but it really seems like she's trying to set him up, write him as like an unwritten gay character. Like there's so many things throughout the book suggesting he's intended to be like a closeted gay guy, and he later actually does have sex with a guy in his chapter. That might get him labeled as a loser or nerd, like in offering to tutor the sports star. Oh, I will give you 3 hours of academic tutoring in exchange for you coaching me or tutoring me in sports for 3 hours. That's kind of goofy. No one would talk like that. But like, again, he would say, I'd like to get better at sports, Luke, and I know you're not so good in school. Maybe we can help each other. Like, I'll tutor you in like, your worst subjects, and you can tell me like how to play football or baseball or whatever better. That seems kind of normal, even though, of course, like stepping out of the pecking order, that still might get you like attacked. Like, oh, how dare you go out of line? You're not supposed to talk to the popular kids. So that might get him labeled a loser or nerd, like a geek or whatever. Or targeted for insulting a popular guy, like stepping out of his own social caste and insinuating Luke is stupid. But not a whole wild story about how he's trying to have sex with all the boys on sports teams, culminating in a school-wide bullying campaign. Like, this is like seriously so damn over the top. It's like they're like not desecrating, like writing stuff on his locker and like ripping stuff up, and so much of stupid stuff. I didn't relate. I didn't belong. It was just a bodiless, invisible spirit in the midst of all the physicalness. So she loved slapping the suffix "ness" onto the ends of the words. Where is it? And Carlos just cut out one night. I knew I needed help, and I couldn't get it. Oh, no one can understand the loneliness. Dad had an office party at the apartment. Life is really strange. Why I can't even find it now. Like, I wish they didn't really give one damn or another how we did it. That incident made me a leper at school, to be stoned, laughed at, joked about sissy. In fact, the stories grew until I was painted to be a fluffy Q word trying to make it with all the big boys on the teams. Nobody cared that in the long-range program it was the brains that kept the world progressing. I'd said every 15-year-old boy ever. They just cared for the screwed up, going nowhere, leading nowhere now. Oh, and they're talking about, oh, man, it just kept getting grosser and grosser. Somebody sprayed purple paint on my leather jacket, and guys kept handing me love notes. They had obviously cooked up together, filthy, degenerate things that left me literally emotionally drained. In gym, the guys were always trying to get me in the showers, and I couldn't get down any crowded hall without having at least one bully tweak my, well, I'll get to that more. He's obviously talking about his eggplant. Seriously. And so anyway, getting back, number 16. Find me one real boy, speaking of one real teen boy, who's too squeamish to call his phallus, even by a childish euphemism. Like, dude, just call it like whatever slang, vulgar term you want. Like, I don't care. Mark says, the body part she was interested in, and my, ellipsis, well, ellipsis, dude, what? Men are famously proud of those things and don't hesitate to use all sorts of slang. A lot of guys even treat them like sidekicks and separate entities. Like, he can't even call it like a baby term like wee-wee or pee-pee or something. Like, seriously, just call it. This is totally unbelievable. And I'd actually forgotten about this since I had read the chapter a few weeks ago, because this book is pretty forgettable. But when looking through it to prepare for the Everything Wrong video and blog post, like, it came back. Like, what? Like, a teenage boy and like, what? This is like something a Mormon would do, not a normal teen boy in touch with reality. They have no problem calling that what it is. I mean, I'm not going to say like the slang words or anything. I don't know, YouTube would get me in trouble, but you know the words. Number 17. This book is littered with Mormon references, as per usual. A scoutmaster called brother, that's only a thing in Mormonism. Like, non-Mormon scout troops, they're not calling them Brother John or Brother Jones or whatever. The words forever and eternity frequently used as adjectives. For example, a for eternity type brother, my forever friend. The whole throughout, for all time and throughout all eternity, and their favorite mantra, families are forever, which is on Dr. Fraud's grave. A weekly home evening on Mondays. which is family home evening. Like, why didn't she call it by its real name? Like, everyone who knows anything about Mormonism, they could immediately recognize it. Like, Mondays, home evening, every week. That's family home evening. What the F else could it be? Chiding people for being sad at a funeral. Their Mormons are told you're supposed to be happy and smiling and rejoicing, and you're being a bad, terrible person, inviting outer darkness and getting kicked out of the celestial kingdom if you're crying and sad, instead of like, yay, 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 grandma, grandpa, like uncle, whoever, like parents, kick the bucket, yay, now they're with on collab with like Heavenly Father. Super secret baptismal names that can't be revealed, or at least not to anyone except the woman's husband. So I mentioned that in the Mary video. I'd have a crumb of respect for her if she had just made her characters Mormon instead of pretending otherwise. Like, seriously, I mean, they would still suck to high heavens, but at least she would have been honest. Number 18. The chapters are 79, 77, 25, 14, and 34 pages. And the 34 pages, that's not even one subject throughout the whole time. She's giving updates on the 4 different characters, so different amounts of pages for each update. Serious sign she failed at plotting these stories equally. It's like she put so much effort into like the cult story and the Mark story, and then the 3 pages of an update for Mark, like, screw it, I'm just done with it. Or like she wasn't even like putting any effort into all of these stories. Number 19. Mark looks down on Luke as a future dumb dock worker like his father, and that profession was already like on its way out by the late 70s because, you know, containerized shipping was like replacing longshoresmen. Nice classism, Mrs. Sparks. She's constantly looking down on like poor and working class people and their professions in all of her books. Number 20. No normal teen boy thinks sex is shameful, filthy, degrading, vulgar, disgusting, and immoral. Like, oh, I wonder what that would come from. Like, maybe he's a Mormon. Well, they might feel, for example, like just like girls, even though men are told like, oh, you're supposed to love sex all the time, be happy and excited for doing it, don't have any negative feelings. But yeah, men and like teenage boys, they can feel just the same as like women and girls about like sex, particularly first time sex, even if they don't like talk about it so publicly or admit it. So maybe they'll think, oh, they weren't ready, like they weren't prepared for the emotions that would come along with it, or maybe they like couldn't perform, they were like so nervous, or they performed too quickly, if you know what I mean, or maybe they chose the wrong partner, like the girl was only into like having fun for a short while, she just wanted that experience, and meanwhile the guy was really like in love head over heels with her, and he thought maybe we'll have a long-term relationship, I even might want to marry this chick when we're old enough. And so they have like got their signals crossed. They didn't like, for so many reasons, like you could feel like regret, or just like, I wasn't expecting to feel this way after sex, maybe I should have like waited a little bit longer, chosen someone different, or done more like education or whatever. I'm getting too off topic. But so anyway, having sex for the first time shouldn't cause a mental breakdown and self-loathing unless they have been indoctrinated with very unhealthy messaging. I wonder, like the Mormon church does. Oh, you're a gross licked cupcake or chewed piece of gum, and no one else is going to want you. Just, you should have stayed a virgin perfectly until marriage. So anyway, this will be continued in on future videos and blog posts. So thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. If you have watched all the way to the end, let me know. Have you ever read this garbage book or anything else by Mrs. Sparks? What do you think of literary fraud in general? What's the worst book you have ever read? Like, did you feel like tricked and deceived when you found out a book you believed to be real was actually, you know, like a fake memoir or something like this? Or did you always have Mrs. Sparks's number about her being a fake? Just things like that. So again, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.